So welcome everybody, my name is Paul Spires and I'm a professional real estate agent in Virginia in the western part near Waynesboro. I live in Stewart's Draft, and I'm going to talk today about photography in general and teach people how to save a bit of money, maybe quite a bit of money on photography for their, whether you're selling a property or if you're real estate. Hear me out a little bit because I used to be a photographer. That was my business for a long time. This is a second career for me. I also do aerial photography. I have a commercial drone pilot license as well. And I know a thing or two about photography, and I'll give you a few tips here if you bear me a few minutes here. One thing about photography, of course, we all know today, if you don't have a good picture of something, the product isn't going to sell very well. And I also sold a lot of things on eBay, and because I needed to photograph the property or the article nicely, then I would sell better. And I also bought a lot of things on eBay because I knew what it was, but it was a bad picture. So the thing about real estate is we're talking about property that's worth a lot of money, and naturally the photographs have to be really, really good. And the main characteristic of a photograph for a piece of property is it has to be accurate. For any product, it has to be accurate, because we don't want people coming and looking at a piece of property and saying, wow, man, it doesn't look like the picture at all, or you're missing something, okay? On the other hand, you can have something that's really good that you missed in the photography, and you didn't put that in the listing, and then you don't get as many prospects. So I've had websites for a long time, and I had my photography on websites and so on, and I build videos. I'm familiar with Photoshop and photo editing and so on, so I know a thing or two. And one thing we have to think about, even though you need accurate pictures, it has to be really accurate. There's a lot of things today you can enhance a photograph and make it look incredible. But then when people actually look at the product, they're going to say, well, it doesn't really quite look like the way you put it. So it's really important to have accuracy. And that has to do with, for example, the lens, as I mentioned in one of my other videos, the kind of lens that you're using. But if you're selling a standard house, and I've looked at a lot of different houses and so on, and from a photographer's point of view, I just go in there and I say, look, okay, what are the best features of the house? I want to make sure I get the whole house and outside and so on. And I want to get an accurate presentation of the size of the rooms and so on. And there's a rule in photography, it's only what's in the photograph that matters. There can be things outside of the picture that you don't want to show. But basically, if you go into a house or around the property and you take a bunch of photographs, generally speaking, the iPhone, your typical phone camera, if it's set one-to-one perspective and not a distorted lens, you can get some pretty darn good pictures just walking through a property. And one of the tricks that people don't know about, actually, with drone photography is the so-called walkthrough. You can walk through with holding very steadily your iPhone, and you can just kind of walk through the property, and it'll seem like a drone is doing it, but it's not really a drone. It's just someone walking steadily and going like this with the photograph, with the camera and so on. So there's some tricks that you can learn that'll save you a lot of money. Now, a lot of times, if you want to hire somebody to do a photograph for your property, typically a real estate agent, I'm a real estate agent, so I might be cutting myself out of some photo business by telling you these things, but basically, if you're a realtor and the guy calls you up and say, hey, I want to sell my house, I want to get on the market in a few days, and da-da-da-da, you look at the weather and say, man, I got to do it tomorrow because it's going to be rainy for 3 days. You go out there with the iPhone, do the best you can. Just get as much as you can. Capture, because you can edit later. A rule of photography, okay, take a bunch of pictures and delete a lot of them, So you just go in there and get the pictures, okay, because, again, it's accuracy, because once you put that listing up, you don't need to have, like, the sunset and the beach and, like, all the gulls swimming around, You don't need to be doing a major production on a $300,000 house. You need to get the basics, you need to get it accurate, you need to get the lighting. Try to get to a good time of day with the sun shining in the windows and so on, so you can get some stunning pictures just with your iPhone and a careful walkthrough. And by being conscientious about what you put in the picture and what you don't, and by walking around the outside of the property, just get different angles. As if pretend you're the guy walking in the property. I want to see it from a distance, because I have customers, for example, that will call me they're from way out of state. They're never going to come here. They're depending on me to go photograph the property. So again, as a realtor, part of the job is maybe the photographs that you take may not be put on the listing in the final amount, but you can communicate, make a little video with a lot of different customers by saying, hey, I made this little clip the day I took the listing, it's on a 30-second video or something like that. You download it, put it on your computer, and then, if someone inquires about it, you say, hey, take a look at the property, there it is. And then you multiply your time by just having this video. You don't need to go through the whole song and dance. And a lot of times that's sufficient, because even if people are in a local area, they might be really busy, they might live really nearby, but they don't have the time, or maybe it's always during the day and they're working. So you go in there and you get a little quick video of something property, do a little tour, and get the highlights of the property and send it. So as a realtor, now as a seller, if you're selling on your own, or if you're just getting ready to help your realtor, get some great pictures, because the realtor's really busy. We're doing all the paperwork and stuff. You go out and just some sunny day, get some pictures if you're going to sell your house soon, and take pictures during the different parts of the year, so you have a collection of nice photographs of your home. So when the time comes to sell your house, you got it. You save a lot of time. So as far as the quality of pictures, honestly, the average JPEG, when they download it on the internet, it has to be a compressed file anyway. And unless you're making a huge movie production, you don't necessarily need the super high resolution video either. Now, if you're selling a lot of video, if you're selling a large property, like a huge estate, now you're talking some money. Then you're going to make it a little more of a production there. That, I grant you that. Then that's when you hire someone like myself, who might go out and really, you get the most for your money by hiring a professional at that point. Because if you really have that kind of a $1 million, $2 million property, or some big estate, or a commercial building or something, then it's really going to pay you off to really hire the professional instead of trying to do it all yourself. Because we can throw the drone up there, we can inspect your roof on a big huge property, we can inspect 50 acres and take pictures from 400 feet up and get all kinds of neat shots that you won't be able to do on your own. And it's worth it at that point, you see. So there's a compromise. If it's a small house, little residence somewhere, the realtor goes out there. Don't hire a professional like me, because I'll charge you a little more for my time. But if you're going to go and take the listing anyway, why don't you go out there with your little iPhone or whatever, get some cheap GoPro camera or something, and just walk around, take a bunch of pictures, and make a little video. Because you can make a 30-second video and then take it home and put it on your computer, and you have hundreds of pictures. You have all different angles, whatever. So you don't necessarily need a high-paid professional. So I hope you enjoyed a little bit of commentary about photography in general. I have some other videos on the subject. I think it's very important, because if you're selling a home, let's say even the lower end is $200,000, we're talking about some really expensive pieces of merchandise, you might say, and sometimes they're really huge and have a lot of space connected with them and a lot of dimensions in them. So it really pays to make an effort to get a good photographic record. But again, it has to be accurate. It can't be like too much adulteration or too much modification, so that when the person comes to actually see the property, they say, yeah, man, it's even better than the photographs. You see, that's the impression you want to get. You don't want to get them to come here and say, okay, well, man, doesn't even look nearly as good as the one that the video I saw. You see, you want to have the opposite impression. So, oh my, it's fantastic. So get the best you can. Go out there. Again, you don't necessarily need a high-paid professional or drone pilot to go out and do some good photographs, but keep in mind the different parameters and the kind of quality of your lens and what you want to say and how you want to convey it. And when it comes to higher end properties and large properties, then it really might pay to hire somebody to go out and do a full day's work on the property and get something really spectacular. So I appreciate you listening. Please like and share. Hope you enjoy some of my other content. I get on here quite frequently. I try to make the videos shorter and shorter so that people can enjoy it a little bit and go on and get a little piece of information here and there. So my name is Paul Spires. I work in Lions Team Realty in the Shenandoah Valley of Virginia. It's a beautiful homesteading state, and I hope you enjoy some of my other content about this wonderful area. So thanks again.